Hey guys, Rook Knight here. Thanks for joining me. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the pancake lock or the champion lever locks. This one here is a 6 lever, and I got this one here from eBay for about 10 bucks, and I doesn't have a key, but I was kind of hoping it didn't. I was looking for one that didn't, rather a cheap price. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do this, so I thought let's go as cheap as possible just to see that. My piggy bank is very small, but anyway, the first thing I had to do was I had to get nails, and these are they brad nails. These are the 18 gauge 2-inch ones. I got these for like around $6. This whole pack. I think there's like 1,000. Yeah, 1,000 of them in here from Amazon. They were like I said, $6 from Amazon. Free shipping if you have Prime. Really the best, cheapest way to go, and these work great. So in any case, I then had to build a little apparatus, as you want to call it maybe, and this is what I came up with. And all it is just 2 pieces of wood, some little tiny piece of leather, and then, well, what they're called castration rings, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, we call them bump rings, I guess. And you just put 2 bump rings on there, a little piece of leather. Size-wise, if anybody's interested, the piece of wood that I did was no bigger than a top of the tension wrench, and pretty much maybe just a little less than that, probably about somewhere around the same length as that. Now this is a hardwood, so it's strong. If you're doing it with pine, it might give a little bit, but just to try to take a look at that. And you don't want them too tight. The whole thing about, like, I figured I'd do a video on it, because just to show what I learned is tensioning. You know, you got to be careful. You can, I mean, if you think you need more, you can add more on to the sides, and that'll give you more tension to the nails. I tried all different ways, all different, things, and this seemed to work the best. Just for all intents and purposes, I'm not going to try to bump it here, because it took me hours, more or less, to work out a way to do it. I will say that, tension is everything, and it just all depends on how much force you're putting onto the nails, and it all depends on the angle too. If you know anything about these, it kind of feels like the nails can go in kind of like at an angle, and this way, and an angle are straight up and down when you're pushing. So when you're doing it, there's this, and then there's straight up and down. So I would say go for the straight up and down. That seemed to work the best for me, if that makes sense. Don't go kind of like this. Try to go straight up and down. The best thing to do is lean up against this side right here on your with your nails, and then persist to push down. And you don't have to go crazy, but it's going to take a few tries. I watched a couple videos, and they said anywhere from 10 to 200. I probably pushed it down around to 500 times. Just more or less learning how to make this work properly was kind of the problem. I'd be interested to see, if I had another one of these, how long it would take me, because it was for my first time. I've never done it before. I had to get a feel for it before I was able to do it, because after I had everything lined up just right, and that, I probably found the bitting to this in a matter of probably 5 minutes kind of thing. But what you want to do is you want to get all your nails like this, perfectly flat, and you want to put some tension on that shackle. And like I said, you don't want to go in at an angle this way. You want to try keeping it straight up and down. And I know it's a very fine, see how it kind of has that little bit of movement? So you don't want to go in an angle. You want to go straight up and down with it. For my experience, this is what helped me. And then you want to just make sure they're all flat. And then you want to just kind of hold on to you don't want to hold on to the nails itself. You want to hold on to the little holder, and you just want to give just a little bit of nudges all while you're pulling on the shackle. And you're just going to just keep going and keep pressing up and down, up and down, up and down, and just keep up that until, sorry about that sound, but as you can see, you're starting to form and make a little bit of a indent, and each lever is connected is touching each individual nail, and by slowly going up and down, you're slowly molding those into place. Now, I don't think I'm going to probably catch this on camera, and I don't want to waste your time, so I will stop there and say, after I did find the bitting and was able to get a open, I quickly took, and before removing it out of this, I glued it together with some super glue and then some of that fast drying stuff that you spray on here. What do they call it? The instant set. So you put some super glue on, you spray this, and it turns it rock hard in seconds, just to speed the process up. Now that was my bitting. So what basically I was doing was, that was in there, and before I took it out, I glued it just to make sure that it wasn't going to move. And another good thing that you could do too is, once you get it open, now I'll demonstrate. Now here's the key that I made, one of them anyway. You know, and like I said, the angle, it seems like it works best when it's straight up and down and not at the side. If that makes sense to anybody that has one and is trying to do this, I hope it helps. And you're going to push down, and it's not perfect. Make sure I have it on the right side. And the shackle on this one is dead, so see, it's perfectly popped, and you're doing it just right. And like I said, it's just right there. Now, in any case, so what I did was, to make sure that I had the exact right one, is I went back with the set of keys, or a set of nails, made sure they were all flat. I put them back in and held this like this. And then I took something like a tensioner and slowly pushed my nails in as I went along to get the exact depth of every one. Okay, so I just hold that as straight as possible while the shackle is open, and I'm gonna push down everyone into place as best I can. It's kind of hard doing it through a camera, if you just bear with me. And now if you look, that takes on the exact perfect thing. Now what I did there is, since I had the second key and I knew this one worked already, I shut this, locked it up, and then tried this out one more time to make sure. And you can see it opened it up just fine. And then I went back one more time and I pushed them all down with something fine, just something so I could touch each individual nail, and just make sure it was filled up every crevice I could. And after I did that, I then super glued that one, and that's actually this one right here, so that's a perfect copy of it. If you want to go a little more crazier, after you super glue it, I have some of that Bondo or whatever it is, the 2 compounds of clay, and it hardens into a rock, and I just added that. So then I have a little bit of a push bottom here, and you just line that up, and then it pops right open. But yeah, so that was my experience with them. It was really fun, actually. I was kind of worried at first. I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. Another good trick was take some rope and put that through your shackle, and then hook that to your foot kind of thing, so you can just kind of pull with your hand. So while that's hooked to your foot, it's pulling the shackle, and then you could just hold it there, and then you can come back and just sit there and play and work with that, trying to get it open without having to keep your finger in there, because that gets old fast. Like I said, I worked on this and probably for like 3 hours straight before I finally got it. But that's all it takes, is that one time that you get it, you're done. As long as you don't close that shackle. You close that shackle, you're right back to square one. I'll open this up here with this key. I keep forgetting that the shackle is not spring-loaded, it broke, so I gotta pull it a little bit every time. But in any case, so you're fine now. And now another thing too is, if you drop this, now for me, I don't know if they're all like this, but if you bump this, these levers will all set back and you'll be stuck. So you don't want to bump it either. You want to be very gentle and be able to try to find your reading, your perfect depth. And this would be the time to do it. And then, like I said, you put this in here, take something that you can push each one down very gently. Each one you can get a good, while you're holding this evenly in there. And then you want to glue that up. So then that's your key bitting. And then you can then eventually, once it dries, you could take it out of there, and now you got that. And if you want to go a little more, you can harden it and get a little bit of a handle on it. My next step, I'm looking to maybe get some feeler gauge and just painting that on there and cutting it out with something. But for right now, I have something to use as a key, and it now works great for what it's supposed to be doing. I have no problem opening this lock up every time. And I thought maybe that might help somebody out there. Like I said, I'll try to get a link of these brad nails that I used. These were cheap, $5 for these. God, I'll have enough brad nails to probably do, let's see, close to probably a couple hundred locks. In any case, also the wood that I used for this guy right here, it was just little strands of leftover wood I had from making picks and stuff like that. Like I said, if anybody's interested with size wise, I'm not much of a measurer, but it's about the width of a top wrench there, and then just a little bit skinnier than that. But the bump keys, or I'm sorry, the bump rings seem to do great for tension, especially if you get that little piece of leather to hold there. It's just enough. You can still move them with your finger. That's the biggest thing, is like the tension on here. You want to be able to move them with your finger. See how you can, you don't want it, if they're too hard, you can't move them easily with like hurting your finger. If you're pushing this and your fingers hurts, that's way too much tension on the nails. You want just enough to where they're still movable, and then like I said, you want to narrow them all out flat, put a little tension on there, and just give a little pushes, and just be patient, because this is a long process, and it could be 3 or 4 pumps and you got it. But I took, like I said, I probably pushed this thing 500 times. But like I said, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. If this is your first time ever trying to do this, the lock also could, be a hard one to decode, or you just might not have the right tension, you might not have the right angle. But play with it. Go, move around. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over. You know what I mean? You want to kind of just keep trying something different and trying to push. If you start to get low, what I was doing was I was holding this and that, and then I was wiggling this back up to where I needed it, and then I was still keeping where I started, or what I left with, and then I would go back to it and start doing it again. Just put a little tension there, and then just lightly pressing. Like I said, and you want to keep that angled. If that makes sense, if you're looking at me and you have that facing you, you want it to go straight up and down. You don't want it to go that way. You want it to go this way, and it's only minute. It's a very small little difference, but that seemed to help me. When I was pushing it in that way, it wasn't so good, but I got it open by going straight up and down, it felt like. And you're just going to sit there and just keep working and working all the time, having that pressure on that shackle. And like I said, for me, this took a while. And it's already a long enough video as it is, so I'm gonna stop there. I hope that helps somebody out there, gives them a little bit of feedback. Like I said, if you need to, you might want to add a couple more of these rings. For me, this was perfect, having one on each side. It gave it enough to be able to have that. I wish I could tell you how many pounds per square inch or whatever that was on each head that I was pushing, because this just seems to be perfect amount of force that's going on there. You want to be able to have it move. When I first did it, I had it locked in there. I had 3 of these rings on each side. I thought it was supposed to be tough, and then what I was doing was pushing this forward, and they were all staying the same, and I couldn't understand why. It's because you want very light tension, believe it or not, and that seemed to be the key. And speaking of keys, we've got one made here for this guy. I'm gonna maybe make it a little more fancier with some what do they call it, feeler gauge or something like that, and maybe make out a profile key or something. But there we go, we got a key for a Champion 6 lever. So I hope that helps anybody out there that's considering, or tried it and failed, because I know that I was getting really frustrated with it and wanted to quit. But I stuck with it and I ended up winning. So I hope somebody out there will have the same benefit, and maybe this will help. Watch all the other videos you can find on YouTube for it. It's kind of like an accumulation of all that information is what helped me, and I'm hoping that some of that got passed on here. Alright guys, that's all I have for today. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for subscribing. We'll catch you on the flip side.